to hearing from you today. But we'll just start out with calling the roll. If Connie, if you could do that, please.
Bates.
Here.
Mangum.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Satterfield. Here. Swanson.
Here.
Dahlquist.
Here. Okay, thank you. We'll just move right into agenda item 2. It's fiscal year 2027 budget development overview. We've asked our CFO, Rich Morgan, to come up and present that.
Council, Rich Morgan, Pocatello Finance. This meeting is very specific in our budget development. It's the community organizations that make requests of you. We appreciate your time this morning in listening. We appreciate the representatives that have come, that and the giving of their time to explain what they do with their requests. I would like to just quickly let you know that you'll be getting an email from OpenGov in the next couple of days. It's your sign-on. You'll be able to start looking at that. We're really excited about that. Next Thursday, we'll dive into revenue. And that will be a big step towards our budget development as well. But this meeting is specific. I don't want to take a lot of time. This meeting is specific to these requests, so I'd like to leave the time for them. I think that's about all I have for now. Oh, no decisions today, I'm hoping. It does say action item on the agenda. I think this is an information gathering.
That's
We'll
correct.
take this information back. We'll incorporate it as we see and have those discussions further on down the line of what happens in decisions. And we'll let them know as those decisions are made, what comes out of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Okay, and just before we move on to the presentations, just in case you didn't hear this, there's a 5-minute limit today. We do have quite a few organizations, which is great, but we just ask you that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. We may have a few questions and answers after that, so you understand that ground rule. But with that, we will start off with Aid for Friends.
As supplemental, do I? I have 10, okay.
We'll use them to the whole stack and then we'll pass them down.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be presenting to you. I have a hard time, I have to remember Mayor Dahlquist.
Yeah, I know. There's lots of things I go by that are, yeah, no worries.
But no, we're excited and we appreciate this opportunity to present. I'm Michelle Paletti. I'm the Executive Director at Aid for Friends, and this is Jessica Richard. She is my Grants Administrator and Programs Manager, and she put together a presentation for you on our reason for our request for funding from the city.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right in. It looks like a lot of slides, but don't worry, we'll get through them really quickly. So I just wanted to give you a little background about our history. We were founded in 1984, over 40 years ago. The picture above is our old shelter. We've had our new shelter for the past 5 years. It opened in the summer of 2021. Fully ADA accessible, a lot of upgrades, twice the capacity as our previous shelter. These are kind of the high points. We are able to house men, women, and families with children of any age, which is unique to any shelter on this side of Idaho. Some of the services that we offer at the shelter are meals. So for our shelter residents, they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If they are unable to make it out to the Salvation Army for lunch, we provide lunch for them, and then they have dinner every night. Snacks are available all day. They have access to a case manager who will sit down with them within a week of them entering the shelter, come up with a personalized housing plan to figure out what is going to be their path out of homelessness. They can provide them with transportation through PRT, bus tickets, doing some life skills training, budgeting. In addition to this case management, we also have laundry facilities. All of the supplies are provided for our residents, as well as showers. Part of the shelter program is that everybody works together to keep the facility clean, so this also doubles up as kind of a life skills training, where they're learning how to keep up a home, do dishes, take care of their space. We also at the shelter have access to resources for anyone in the community. So the dinner is actually open to everybody from 5:30 to 6 p.m. So soup kitchen style, just like the Salvation Army. We also allow anyone to take a shower there. We have hygiene supplies, cold weather gear, blankets, sleeping bags, things like that. Our supportive services, I'd mentioned the case management. These are things connecting them with other resources that they need. It is very housing focused, but it's whatever it is that the person needs. We're trying to get them connected so that they can be successful after they leave the shelter. We don't want to just house them for 90 days and then send them off on their own out into the dark abyss again. So we do our best to try and get them set up for success. This is just an overview of our funding from the federal government over the past 10 years. Specifically for the shelter grants to Idaho. In the past 5 years, it's only increased 4%. And in our last 5 years at Aid for Friends, our shelter utilization has increased 57%. So when we first opened, we were still under some COVID restrictions. Now today, we are pretty much full capacity. Our main limitation is staffing to be able to provide that same level of care, quality, and support, and food and hygiene and cleaning supplies. Despite this drastic increase in utilization, we've still had some really positive outcomes. We have the purple shows the exits from the shelter to a sheltered situation, whether they're staying with family and friends, they've been reunited, or they're staying in a rental, staying in a hotel, something like that. So we've been able to keep up with the increased use. A couple of the ways that we've been able to stretch our funding is that we have increased our support through other funding services. So we use Easter Seals employees. We now have 2 Easter Seals employees. We have 2 AmeriCorps volunteers. We use an ISU work study student. We have an ISU social work intern. This is probably one of our most valuable because as our shelter clients have increased, our case manager, their load has increased. And so the social work intern has really helped us to take care of that load. We also encourage people to come in and help serve dinners. This is our friends at Acorn who've come to serve dinners at the shelter. And then finally, I just wanted to show an overview of where our folks are coming from. This is the county of origin for people entering the shelter. And as you can see, 88% are coming from Bannock County, and within Bannock County, that's 84% of our total guests are coming from the city of Pocatello directly. So, are there any questions?
Okay, well, you did a great job with the 5
I was watching it.
She does it very good. I'd be stumbling over my words.
Right, and I know there's a plethora of services that you offer, so thank you for, I know it's not very much time, but thank you for that really great overview. Right now, I'm just gonna open it up to council members who might have some questions.
Mr. Mayor?
So, sure.
So on that last slide, you were looking at origin of your clients that come in. When you say Bannock County, does that mean that they have lived or resided in Bannock County over a certain period of time? What's the criteria for establishing that?
Right, so for this question, we asked, where did you stay the night last night? Early last year, we included a new question into our intake screening that asks, where were you when you became homeless? That's been able to give us more information about where people were, whether they were out of state or in state. And still, it matches up quite a bit with this. So it might be a little bit more, in Bannock County, but still the vast majority are originating from Bannock County. And we are adding a new question to ask what their most recent permanent residence was, so that we can get a little bit more information there about where they're coming from. But like I said, when we added that new question, where were you when you became homeless, it matches up pretty well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Yes.
So on your funding slide, you had mentioned that these were federal grants, correct?
Yes.
And so, but then at that last slide that showed where your guests were coming in from, the different areas.
Yes.
Do you get any funding from any of these other communities or areas to say, hey, you got people coming in from wherever and they're coming and staying here, at a certain rate. Have you guys ever done any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been reaching out more to other counties. Bannock County has been supporting us for many years. When we looked a little bit more into this, we realized, we're having a lot of people come from Idaho Falls in particular because they only have a men's only shelter and then a women and children only shelter where they can't take any boys over 12 years old, and so that really limits who they can keep. So they send them down the road to us. People in the lower counties on the border of Utah, they go keep going up I-15 to Pocatello or go back down south to Salt Lake. Those are kind of your only options. And so we have been soliciting those from outside counties. A couple of them have looked at using their the opioid settlement dollars to help. We have a commitment from Caribou County.
Possibly being,
yeah.
I did present at Bonneville. I'm going to be doing Powell County, so I've been reaching out to all the surrounding counties and requesting or asking for funding from them as well.
Yeah. We also planned to ask the city of Chubbuck, but we missed their funding deadline this year.
So I have another question, if that's all right, Mayor. Youth-wise, what is the number of children or adolescents that are staying here? Because you allow families to stay. So how does that? What is your approximate number or idea?
The report. It's in our annual report, which I believe, sorry, I'll let you find it. It is a small percentage. When you look at who is actually homeless on the streets and in need of shelter, the vast majority is single men because they have the more difficult time finding somewhere safe to stay. Children, people, our hearts are really big and we go, we're not going to let that child be homeless. So there's so many people who will take the child in, but not the parents. And so we have a lot of parents who their children are staying elsewhere. For the few that do, we have, I think, between 4 and 6 family rooms that are available at any one time. It's a pretty small percentage of children.
I didn't bring that in.
So, yeah.
You don't have to find it.
I would ballpark like maybe around 10%.
Okay.
We have quite a few families that are staying at the shelter currently.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just a brief question. You're requesting 30,000. Is there a specific use that would go towards, or is that just general operations you'd use it for?
So it would be general. The majority of our funding, so the emergency shelter funding from the ESG grant that I showed you on the previous slide, our allocation in the state of Idaho has been about $38,000 for the past 8 years. It's stayed really stagnant, and so we've had to get other funding. Our United Way grant that they've approved us for has helped with this. The professional staffing is really what we need. So it would be general support, but in particular to support that case management. So, but we are specifically asking just for general support.
And do you guys have any reserve funds? Have you been able to build up any reserve funds?
Not specifically for the shelter.
Okay.
Just with our agency, yeah, we have reserves for times when we need it.
Okay.
Those are our general funds, but
Perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Sure.
Can you tell me what specific impacts that funding deficits affect within your organization?
The amount of people that we can serve, because when our funding is cut, then we have to scale back the amount of people that we can actually serve at the shelter.
Yeah, that really is the biggest thing. One of the favorite phrases of the Idaho Nonprofit Center is that the people are the programs. We are aiming to do more than just put a roof over somebody's head. And like I said, our biggest hole right now is that case management aspect of things. We have so much support with just our staffing, our preparing the meals, helping clients check in and out, answering phone calls, things like that. But what we really need is to fill in that gap to be able to provide everybody with that housing plan, that individualized housing plan. And it takes time to be able to call other agencies and help get them set up with insurance and with healthcare, and it takes a lot of time. So we want to be able to offer that same level of person support for everybody, and that's what's limited us in the last few years.
So just a comment. I recognize your passion, and I appreciate your passion, and I appreciate what you guys do for this community. Everything that you guys do, it's vital. And so thank you for what you do. Regardless of how this goes for funding's sake, I appreciate what you guys do. And I implore you to keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Sure.
Question. So say you guys are at capacity and people come in the past, what happens at that point with those people?
Yeah, so if somebody comes in and we're at capacity, we work really well with all of our community partners. So if we have somebody who maybe would qualify for domestic violence services, then we would contact family services. During the times that the warming shelter is open, we give them information on how to get to the warming shelter. We've also, done some volunteer hours over there. We work really closely with Carl as well. We'll, send them to the crisis center if we recognize that maybe there's some kind of a crisis or detox situation that needs to happen. And just try and get something opened up as soon as possible. So, really, we can only get somebody in as long as we have that space. But yeah, those are the things we do work with our community partners really well. And sometimes Carl has, over at Valley Mission, he also has some vouchers for hotels. We'll get them in touch with churches who can sometimes do some temporary hotel stays while they wait for a bed to open up.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate you very much.
We appreciate you, thank you.
Great. Next, it looks like we have Family Services Alliance.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name's Sarah.
My name is Sarah O'Banion. I am the Director of Family Services Alliance, and I'm here really to say thank you to each of you because we have so appreciated the support in the past from the city of Pocatello, and we work daily with law enforcement officers and other city employees to try to increase safety for victims of domestic and sexual violence. And we really can't do that without our friends at the city of Pocatello. So thank you. I think you'll hear a lot about collaboration today, not duplication of services. You heard Jessica and Michelle kind of talk about what their services look like. And I think you'll hear a lot about how our nonprofit community works together to make sure that we can do what we can to create a safer community. And so for Family Services Alliance specifically, our role in the community is to provide safety and care for victims of domestic violence, sexual violence, stalking, and human trafficking. So really anyone who has had that type of victimization qualifies for the kinds of services that we have. And that looks like a lot of emergency crisis work. So right in the moment, we have the, I think, honor of responding on site with local law enforcement officers to provide care to the victim during a law enforcement interaction, which is often right after 911 has been called because of a physical incident of harm. And we have the honor to work with those victims around what will happen next. I'm sure you've heard Chief Shai talk about the Clark ruling and how that has changed not only law enforcement's work, but also domestic violence advocacy and victim service providers' work. We find that we are doing more and more civil protection order requests. So we spend a lot of time with survivors figuring out how do I increase my safety when the offender who has harmed me has been charged with a crime. Law enforcement did their job, but unfortunately, law enforcement couldn't take them to jail. And so because of that, we need to look at civil protection orders, we need to look at no contact orders, we need to look at getting into touch with local judges and seeing what we can do to help people with safety. And so a lot of our work kind of focuses on that immediate safety. What can we do right now to support you in your safety needs? But as an organization, I think we have a responsibility to not just be a crisis organization. And so as I've been at Family Services Alliance for about 20 years, and as I've been there, we have really thought about how we can expand our work to not only provide that crisis intervention care, but also do a lot of wraparound support and make sure that we can do what we can to help folks heal from the trauma of abuse and work to end cycles of abuse. We know that kiddos that are exposed to violence violence are much more at risk to be in violent relationships. And so we have some services in place to support those families. And those things look like support groups, those things look like reducing isolation. We just started a support group where we're actually sharing dinner together. I started talking with survivors about what their experiences were like. And what I started realizing was that I grew up in a home where dinner was a time that we gathered together and people shared about their day. For many of the people that I serve that live in domestic violence homes, dinner is a very dangerous time, a very uncomfortable time. So the spaghetti gets chucked across the wall, or someone gets harmed with boiling water or something like that. And so what I learned is that, dinner is not a safe place. And so we've started working together on what would it be like to have safety in your home. And so those are some of the things that we can do as an organization to not only think about immediate safety, but also how can we help you heal. I have 43 seconds. So I did want to just share that, like you heard with Aid for Friends, that federal funding is always at risk, and that is why we often come to our local governments. We spend some time visiting with our City of Chubbuck friends, our Bannock County friends. We have a small program in some of the rural areas of Southeast Idaho, but just like you heard from Aid for Friends, the majority of our clients do reside in the city of Pocatello. And that's kind of hard to acknowledge, that there are victims of abuse living right here in our city. Their neighbors, our friends. 5 seconds.
Okay, good job. Thank you, Sarah. We'll go ahead and open it up to council questions. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Sir, can you talk a little bit about what happens to the abusers in this situation?
Absolutely.
There are educational programs or therapy programs that are available to those folks?
So there are intervention programs, and most of those intervention programs are required by the courts. So I actually started out in domestic violence work in offender intervention, which really gave me a unique perspective as a victim service provider. And I did that work for about 5 years, and I think I had one voluntary person in the group. So most of the folks that are in some kind of batter intervention work are there because the courts told them they had to be. There are some other things that families can do, and we have a lot of victims that come to us and say, I want to make this relationship work. We share children together. There is a part of our relationship that has happiness and has peace, and so I don't want to give that up. And so, there are other things that offenders can do, like working through their own trauma histories, like working through what it's like to be in healthy relationships. We don't spend a lot of time talking to kiddos about how to be in relationships that are safe, and those are skills. I talk to victims about it is a skill to scare someone with controlling behavior. It's also a skill to use healthy relationship behaviors and work through something in safety. One thing that is not indicated is couples counseling. Couples counseling has been found to be extremely dangerous for victims of abuse because of the things that happen before and after a session. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Can you describe are there any success or rates with those kinds of programs with offender rehabilitation?
I don't have the research in front of me or memorized, but I think recidivism is high. Yeah. And one of the goals of a treatment program is to really make sure this is a delicate balance between teaching offenders about their beliefs that have led to this violence, right? Because I'm in a relationship that is based in safety and peace. And my beliefs about how I treat my partner really affect how I treat him. The same is true for offenders of abuse. And so to work through those beliefs, man, it takes a long time. And I think it also, that voluntary versus required to be there component, it takes a long time for someone to work through, the system is doing this to me, my partner is doing this to me. Part of when we look at what power and control in relationships looks like, the first thing we often hear is, I blame the victim, I deny that this even happened, and I minimize that. I'm not sure why you're making such a big deal out of this, right? Like, this was just a small incident and you're blowing things out of proportion. And so that continues to happen in the treatment process. Now, I am not a treatment provider, so, but I think those success stories are there, and families can maintain relationships. And victims have to do safety planning differently when their offenders are involved in the court system, or when they're co-parenting with someone that they no longer reside with, or when they are thinking of exiting a relationship. So victims have to constantly be thinking about, how do I increase my safety with this new sort of moment that is happening in our relationship.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Do
Councilman
you
Nichols.
provide temporary housing for your victims? And could
do.
you explain that a little bit, please?
We do, yes. So, so again, like, collaboration versus duplication, I think, is really critical. So we do have an emergency shelter that is very different from the Aid for Friends program. Our shelter is specifically for someone who is fleeing domestic violence or in danger in that moment. And so someone can enter at 2:00 in the morning because there's been an incident with law enforcement. Maybe law enforcement can't find the offender, and we're trying to figure out what happens to this victim and maybe this victim's kiddos. Excuse me. Or it's Saturday morning and a judge is not going to review civil protection orders until Monday, probably Monday afternoon. So we have 2 to 2.5 days of safety that we really need to be thinking about, where can this person be? At the same time, emergency shelter, there is a lot of emergency shelter happening in among community members. And so oftentimes people that come to our program, we are almost a last stop for them. So I've already run through all my friends and family. I've already used all my excess funds to stay in a hotel. And now I am really at my breaking point of a place to stay in safety. People don't typically stay in our shelter 90 days like they often do at Aid for Friends. It's sort of a safety stop, and then what's the next step?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah.
I
Thanks
do have
for
some
all you do.
information that I'll leave and just at your leisure.
Yeah, and you brought up the collaboration, Sarah, that I wanted just to shout out to the Homeless and Housing Coalition of Southeast Idaho. I feel like that's the strongest one in the state, and a lot of the groups in the room join that. Can you remind me when those meetings are? I think they're the second Tuesday of the month.
They're the second Tuesday at noon. And that is an opportunity for a lot of the people in this room to come together and talk about housing concerns. And also provide training to our teams, working together to provide some awareness about what is available. And next month we'll be going to My Brother's Table and providing a meal with the team support. And so, yes, and you're right, we're very proud of ourselves in Region 5.
Yeah.
We're killing it.
So I just, I just encourage anyone that, if you have 12 noon available on the second Tuesdays of the month, they're only an hour and a half long. They're really informative with what's going on in the community housing world.
They're odd months, just to clarify.
Okay, every other month, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Greater Pocatello Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Jeff.
Pleasure to see a new city council and mayor. Happy to be here. Really appreciate what you guys do as well. Managed hotels for years. It is definitely a challenge. Pulls on the heartstrings as well. But I'm going to jump to marketing. So,
And for those of you that don't know, you, Jeff, can you introduce yourself?
introduce myself. I'm sorry. My name is Jeff Glissendorf. I am currently the Director of Tourism for Visit Pocatello Chubbuck. I managed the Town Place Suites for about 10 years before that and left to pursue tourism. So tourism is a huge drive in our neck of the woods. It has become a passion that still fills the hotels in a different way. So 5 minutes is quick. All right, so how are we funded? We are funded through the Idaho Department of Commerce. The Idaho Regional Travel and Convention Grant Program is funded through a 2% tax on the sale of hotels, motels, vacation rentals, and private campground accommodations. The grant is designed specifically for tourism marketing outside of the area and frequently requires a strong overnight component. So some facts on page 1 there about the grant. It is a 20% community match requirement. It has 10% of the use can be used on infrastructure. In 24 and 25, we were awarded $254,000 in each of those grant cycles. Our grant periods run August 1st to September 30th and mirror the state's fiscal cycle. So currently we have the 2024 grant that we are in the final auditing stages, so that just closed up spending at the end of 2025. The 2025 grant is currently in process, so we are spending those funds as we speak. And last month we applied for the 2026 grant, which will be awarded on July 30th of this year. Outside of the grant, we had $62,000 in income and $69,000 in expenses. Our current community funding partners include the Mountain View Event Center, the City of Chubbuck, the City of Pocatello, the Natural History Museum, and the Chamber of Commerce. We have a lot of partners outside of that, but those are the financial partners with us. A few random stats there. You've got $36 million in the state. State and local taxes are generated in our region in a year's period. $400 million in direct travel spending on food, groceries, retail, fuel, accommodations, and entertainment. This boils down to about $1,100 per household for a tax impact if there were not tourists coming through our region, and around 4,000 jobs in Southeast Idaho based on tourism. To keep going, our mission is to educate and introduce new visitors to Southeast Idaho by creating and developing marketing strategies that showcase our unique beauty and culture. Additionally, we strive to impact the overall guest experience by being a definitive source for local, easily accessed information that assists with creating positive tourism experiences. Bringing guests into our region stimulates our local economy. Providing a positive guest experience keeps them here for a longer period. As we showcase the wonderful things in our area, we are expecting to draw guests in to stay in our hotels, spend in our businesses, and leave with a positive Idaho experience that they can express to others. Positive financial impact and a positive reputation for Pocatello and Chubbuck are the overall goals of our organization. How do we market? We have the visitpocatello.com website. I would encourage everybody to hop on. We had 34,000 visitors last year. Somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 visitors visit that site each year. We go to trade shows. We go to consumer-based trade shows where we try and sell Pocatello to locals. So I went to San Francisco a few weeks ago, trying to convince that crowd to come this way for a road trip. Last week I was in North Dakota trying to convince international tourism operators to send people our way. So there's a lot of different kinds of trade shows we attend. We have a facilities guide and a facilities video. So we created a binder or a book that is very well done that shows off the Alumni Center, the MAC, the Purpose Center, and a lot of our facilities that we can host meetings and sports events in. And then we follow that up with a video that kind of shows a 60-second version of those as well. We do a lot of digital marketing ads. They're very, everybody likes digital marketing. I'm not in love, but we do digital marketing ads through Google Performance Max. And everybody has a digital marketing component when you get any buys these days. Our videos are impressive. I wish I could show you quite a few. I'd recommend that you check out Visit Pocatello's YouTube channel. I was going to bring some thumb drives, but we've done some really good things. Skate parks, the new water slides, the trails, of course, Bigfoot. So we've had a lot of fun videos out there. They get a lot of views, and they're very well done. Social media, of course, we've stepped up in the last year with social media. We've had our new local company. We're putting out a lot of fun. Billboards, our visitor center, for example, we remodeled last year. So I don't know if anybody's been in the visitor center, but for years it was a big brochure rack, and you walked in, it was a brochure rack, and that was it. Last year we ripped that out, we repainted it, we made it friendly, we're offering free coffee, we've got the Rose Garden. And as my time runs out, I'm sorry to say, I will show you the events and sponsorship page really quick, but we sponsored 20 events this past year in Pocatello. And that's just not sponsoring events, it's helping coordinate with room blocks, it is getting volunteers, making sure that anything those groups need, we're here to support them. So lots of good events. The last page is our current board members. Just thought that if you guys had places to go for questions, I'm always here, but we have quite a solid board in town that is always around for questions and conversation.
Thank you, Jeff.
Sorry.
Open it goes fast.
Real fast.
Questions.
Real fast.
Yes.
So Jeff, do you have any historical data about the impact of the efforts here? I mean, you do an incredible amount of work. So I would love to see some historical data that looks back at website visits, in-person visits,
Yep.
and then how do you measure total tourists that come in? How do you identify that? What's the criteria for a tourist?
The state bases that number on hotel taxes. Pretty much straightforward, and that's what we're based off of, is that hotel occupancy tax. So that's a measurement that's watched pretty high. I'd be happy to sit down and show you reports like crazy.
Yeah.
That would show impact to our region as well as to our city, as well as website history for the last as many years. But yes, we
Yeah, if you-
definitely have all that. And one thing,
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
too many stats out there
I
sometimes,
know.
but I have plenty.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind emailing that over to me,
Sure.
I'd appreciate it. Just
Absolutely.
the historical data for the last 5 years on website visits to the
Okay.
facility
Okay.
on Fifth, and then total Pocatello Chubbuck tourism numbers. That
I
would
will
be.
do my best. It's not as easy to say to
Not as
wrap
easy
that
as
up,
it-
but I will do my
Okay.
best, ma'am. Yes,
You can
absolutely.
catch me offline too
Sounds
if
good.
you need any explaining.
And just to take off on Councilwoman Swanson's question, is there like just briefly like a trend, Jeff, that are we going up with our hotel stays? Is it like cyclical, or what's just
And
the
we are.
overall trend?
You know, the great outdoors has been the trend since COVID. So that opened the doors to a lot of people. And as you've seen, Vegas and New York and others are down heavy this year. Our region right now is up 3% for the year over year. So we're steadily climbing that 3 to 5%. It did go quick from about 18 to 22. We rose dramatically. I mean, it went 5 to 10 to 15% a year. Our grant, for example, in 18, I was around 170,000, and it's grown up to 250,000 pretty quick. And it's kind of leveled off at this point. But tourism in general, you know, Canadians are down 20%. Overseas is down very heavily. There's so many factors, from politics to borders to cost to gas to you name all of it. There are a lot of factors, but yes, in our region, we are heading the right direction. I do believe we need a few more facilities, but at the same time, as everywhere else becomes overcrowded, as Meridian and Denver's and all these places, we have these amazing assets that are very accessible and very clean and very not overcrowded. So when you're going to, there's trails everywhere, but when you go to a lot of those trailheads, they're not in the best shape. And I understand in bigger cities, you're running into people right and left every time you're outdoors doing your community activities. So we're drawing them in on that alone, honestly.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Do you get many walk-ins to your facility?
In the summer, we're around 15. We kind of market a little bit from May to September. So we just have a billboard going up by Tremonton that says "Stop Exit 67, free coffee and smell the roses." But we want to be that source. We don't market a ton, but from May till now, and we just put out a few new signs and stuff. But
True.
a slow day is 5 to 10, and a busy day is 10 to 25.
Great, thank you.
Okay, yes.
Your community match for the grant, the marketing grant, I see you're saying, I assume this is an estimate of 319,000 in the grant amount for the coming fiscal year?
That's what we requested for this 2026 grant. The award will probably be closer to the 250.
Okay, all right. So about 50,000 is what you'd need for that community match?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Correct. Yeah, the last piece of that is based on hotel stays it goes till the end of June. So if you have a strong last few months, that number could go up. If it's poor, it could go down. So you always ask for a little more because you don't know what that pool actually is going to be.
Thank you.
But I'd love a study session as well, a half hour or something where I can be a little bit more in depth, bring some reports, and I'll be happy to follow up with that. Definitely more time is needed to understand the whole concept, I hate to say.
Okay, and Jeff, I've had some feedback from a few folks on the state wrestling tournament.
Okay.
And that's a big source of revenue, and I understand like hotel bookings all the way up to Idaho Falls when we host that high school wrestling. And what I heard as well, I don't mean to speak for ISU, I'm a huge ISU athletic supporter even, but I understand that track there in the ICCU Dome, like that's gonna defer that wrestling tournament for 2 years. Have you had any talks with ISU to try and change that or work around it kind of thing?
Not directly with ISU, but the conversations have just recently been happening. And there is a little concern about the agricultural expo in January and the
Yeah.
and the wrestling. Those are things that I can give my input and tout the best we can. And those are conversations that Chamber of Commerce and some others we have had behind the scenes, but I have not had that directly with ISU yet. As those players are changing with George and others as well. It's a little more challenging.
Yeah, and I can't speak for ISU. There may be perfectly good reasons why they're doing it, but I think we need to ask the questions and see if there's any workarounds there. Those are, boy, if we lost both of those are
Absolutely.
huge for tourism and hotel and
It is, and
commerce.
that relationship's very important. We're sponsoring Big Sky Softball. We love it. There's great Grand Slams, and the girls are doing awesome right now. But it's one of those things that a lot of people ask me, how come there's not concerts in the Dome? How come there's not, our monster trucks aren't there anymore? And there's very good reasons for those, ventilation systems and dollars and separation. But we'd love to see ISU integrated as best as we can. The Alumni Center is a great tourism asset, and the whole college is as a whole. So,
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, thank you, Jeff.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we have NeighborWorks Pocatello. Hello, Katie.
Hello.
Looks like you brought some advocates along with you too. Are these all neighborhood
I did,
association
yes. Let me introduce
folks?
some of our neighborhood residents
Okay.
here from the NeighborWorks Pocatello Support Neighborhoods. So for those of you who may not know me, I am Katie McCarthy. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and Marketing for NeighborWorks Pocatello. I'd like to thank you guys for allowing us to be here today and present and put in a request for this great group of people who are doing some great work out in the community. For the request, you do have those asks in your packet, so I just want to spend some time today and talk a little bit about the past 2 years and funding we've got from the city of Pocatello and what we've been doing to make impact with those dollars. So in fiscal year 25 and 26, the city allocated $12,500 for each of those years to the neighborhoods. Between that time, those city allocations were strategically utilized to secure an additional $103,000, most of which went back into the city parks. In addition to this, the many volunteer hours were, donated time that the city didn't have to utilize staff for to make some of these projects happen. So basically that comes down to, for every dollar that the city allocated to the neighborhoods raised over $4 to match that. Some of these projects include things like First Park playground equipment, bocce ball courts, landscaping, benches, tables, and refurbishment of existing benches. Monarch bench to be installed shortly at Freckleton Park, along with a $5,000 contribution to new equipment and landscaping at Freckleton Park. $25,000 worth of improvements going into Caldwell Park. Part of that $10,000 will be coming this summer to the park. They just were approved for another $10,000 grant for that park. Trellis that was installed, updated natural plants to the planter beds. So really a lot of neighborhood projects are just going directly into making sure our city parks are beautified for the neighborhood residents. Some other things that they've worked on is holiday lighting for Lookout Point. They just received another grant for that, so it's going to be fully lit up for the holiday season over there this year. We've got a new swing set coming soon at Bremer Park. One of our residents had talks with Ann Butler at Parks and Rec, and we had some resident complaints, I guess, about a squeaky swing set over there. So the neighborhood's going to step in and supply a new swing set to that little pocket park over there. Alameda's done some great things in their park, and including like a signboard for community events that they can get in there, a really nice one that's put up. And they've also started a campaign for residents to purchase memorial benches. They've had some pretty good interest in this, and it's kind of a think outside the box way to get some more benches in the park. So individuals in the community doing memorial benches for passed on loved ones that can go into the park. They also have funding that they've had that are, we've got, I think, 2 more benches you said coming in here soon, Roger, to the park. And for as large as Alameda is, they've started with 1 bench. The park has only 1 bench in that entire park, so. In addition to this, the neighborhoods are getting together with events. We've got historic home tour where the neighborhoods work to raise additional funds to go into events, neighborhood gatherings. A lot of it's gone back into neighborhood park projects as well. They've done big events in the city like Lasting Legacy Festival, like Caldwell Park, 4th of July Bike Parade, Bike Safety Fair, movies in the park, holiday tree lightings. They do park cleanup days, flag raising celebration for Flag Day, harvest party, neighborhood comprehensive planning. And then each of the 6 neighborhoods as well do Curb Appeal Awards, and that is to try and encourage beautification in their neighborhoods, and that so people can start to learn to take pride in their properties and make sure that our neighborhoods keep looking great. In addition to this, there's many more. A lot of these events, they do really well at getting business sponsors or bank sponsorships to help cover the cost of the events or add to them. And then I just want to kind of narrate here that in our 20-year comp plan, there is definitely lined out strategies for supporting our core neighborhoods and neighborhood associations in terms of gathering, neighborhood bonding, and also in supporting them as they try to strengthen their parks and amenities in their area. And then I just want to kind of close out with, for a long time, our neighborhoods kind of had the idea that it will take a crisis to bring us together. But in the last few years, as our neighborhoods have been able to get funding, raise more funds, write grants, I have seen a huge gathering of individuals who just want to come together to make positive impact in their neighborhoods and do these really great projects and see real change in real time in their parks. So with that, I will just say thank you for hearing from us, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Katie. Good questions from council? Yes.
Yeah, I want to follow up on the point you made there at the end. Our neighborhood associations, as funding's been allocated to them, are you saying we're seeing like an increase in activity and the amount of people being involved? Can you speak to more?
100%, and probably tenfold. So we came out of COVID very quiet, and then we started kind of working on different things. We started with, okay, we've done a silent auction for years. It gives us a little bit. How can we bring more money to our neighborhoods to actually do things? That's when the Historic Home Tour was born. And that is a neighborhood collaborative thing with NeighborWorks that we put together, and I think this will be our 5th year. Yes, 5th year this year. September 19th, by the way. And with that, then we've kind of steamrolled as well. We've done resident trainings on grant writing so that they know that these are out there for them to get. And we've been pretty successful for the past couple years that we'll just say the IF grant, for instance. I've had 2 neighborhoods every round applying consistently. And so that's a lot of money, and almost every one of those grants has been for City of Pocatello parks. So there's a lot of money that these neighborhoods are really bringing back into the city in addition to volunteer hours. And that's all their legwork, their effort to make sure these are coming through.
And one additional question. I know there's a big push. In fact, Council Member Satterfield is helping spearhead an effort to get a neighborhood association in the Highland area. What's the possibility of that being included in this once they're organized and operating?
So I actually talked with Heather yesterday on that, and I said, if we can get to the point where, the city's really on board with like, yes, we want to get the money going to the neighborhoods and try and fund this, I think it's fantastic. Part of NeighborWorks' mission is community pride, community stabilization. We've historically worked with the 6 core neighborhoods, but neighborhood associations as a whole, as a core value of our mission, is to strengthen community, and neighborhood associations do that. So yeah, we're very excited. Heather Hansen, I've been speaking with, she's very gung-ho, and it seems like that one is just really like steaming along. So yeah, we'd be happy to continue working with her and seeing if we can keep spreading the love around the city. So.
And Katie, as a follow-up, is the board of directors, are they amenable once that neighborhood association is up and running and they have a board and functional to be adopted in?
We have to take it to the board. There's been conversations with our board. Obviously, with NeighborWorks, we have limited resources, and there's only one of me, and I do that. I can't do every neighborhood association in the entire city of Pocatello. So moving forward, that's a discussion we have ongoing with the board of directors of what our policies will look like and what we want to look like in the future. We started out historically with the 6 low to moderate income neighborhoods. That's kind of shifted demographically a little bit as well. So I think these are ongoing conversations we have to keep having about what we want that to look like, just staffing wise in our organization, of how we can make this all work while still bringing in more neighborhood associations to the city.
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you. So with trying to start a neighborhood association, we don't know what we're doing. And you've been a huge asset.
Oh, thank
in
you.
helping Heather and us to be able to figure out what all the little things and pieces that to be able to start one. So thank you so much for
Oh,
your
you're
time.
welcome. There's a lot, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, Councilwoman
Swanson.
drew a blank, sorry.
That's all right. You talked about neighborhood associations applying for and receiving their own grants. You talked about the Memorial Bench Project. Are there any other best practices that you're seeing out there that neighborhood associations or informal groups of neighbors are doing to raise money for their communities?
Well, you know, I can speak in terms of the 6 neighborhoods that I work with, and I would have to say, as we've moved along, their knowledge base has grown incredibly, and we've done some different trainings that Neighbor works with them. So they always have their eye on how can we get different sources of funding into the projects. And that might not have been their mentality 5 years ago, but that's where it is now. So I think that's one of the best practices for them, is trying to, you know, move the needle a little further each time and try and look for those alternative ways to fund, or different grants out there that we might not be aware of that they're now looking for. So I think a best practice is definitely, you know, the city of Pocatello has limited resources when it comes to replacing all our dated playground equipment and everything. So the neighborhoods themselves being able to step in and doing this extra research and time and planning and going after those outside funds, I think is pivotal into increasing our park system right now.
Are there any folks in the audience today that have done fundraising that you think was particularly effective or unusual?
I'd like to point out that we just
Can-
had our association
Excuse
from
me?
the
Yeah,
historic.
maybe come up to the table if you
sure.
would.
Yep. So I'm Meg Holmes. I am co-president of the Historic University Neighborhood. Recently, so I just started my master's in public administration, and I went through the class with Brent McLean for city and regional planning. And I learned a lot about different processes, and specifically relating to the neighborhood and improvements about the LID program. And so we had a meeting this week with Brent and Becky in the planning department, and they kind of explained what that process would look like. So we are seriously looking at that for updating our sidewalks and our curbs and our tree replacement, because our trees down there are nearing the end of their life, and we want to do it right. And Brent is super excited to work with us to make that happen and walk us through that process. So I'm really excited, because it's just an overwhelming thing for most homeowners to have to be responsible for replacing their sidewalks and curbs. It's really expensive. So that's just one thing that we're working on right now. And then little things like we just did a big rebrand for our neighborhood, and we're going to be getting merchandise, so t-shirts and hats and things to sell. It's a little bit of money, but it does help. And then we also do Keep Kids Alive Drive 25. We partnered with ICCU, and they paid for our signs. We get a little bit of money when people purchase signs, and we do that for 2 weeks out of the year. So 1 week in May at the end of school, and then another in the fall at the start of school. The neighborhood will put out their signs to raise awareness to slow down for people and pedestrians that are walking on in the neighborhood.
Great, thanks, Meg.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening online and at home, LID is a limited improvement district, and I think it's a really underutilized and wonderful tool for leveraging a neighborhood's assets to make neighborhood improvements and public improvements. So thanks for bringing that up.
Of course, and I will say that the thing that kind of spearheaded all of this is that 6th and 7th Avenues are going to be repaved this summer. My husband noticed on the city website that it's on the schedule. And so I said, oh my gosh, maybe we should talk about how to do this at the same time, the replacement. But it's not gonna work out that way, but it did lead to the conversation, so thank you.
All right, yes.
Shout out to Brent McLean, first off. Katie, thank you. Great presentation. Can you talk about how the monies are allocated? Because Neighbor Works organization is the pass-through for the neighborhoods, correct? Or
Correct.
hold it, or how does that work?
So the city does issue the check directly to NeighborWorks Pocatello for this, and then from there, we, as the neighborhoods get ready to work their projects, then we cut those checks down to the neighborhood associations. At that time, I also asked that the neighborhoods are providing me with financial receipts for these projects so that I have a track record to make sure that everything's being spent where it should be spent.
So I think it's awesome how here in good old Pocatello, NeighborWorks Pocatello is the crown jewel basically of NeighborWorks America. Like everybody's always like, how do you guys do it? How do you keep these neighborhoods intact? And how do you get all of this, activity? Shout out to Mayor Dahlquist. Thanks a lot for abandoning NeighborWorks.
That's how I feel.
In our board meetings, we're like, yeah, thanks a lot, Mark. But we're excited for his new endeavor. However, though, I think it's also it's very important to note how important you guys are in the community. Having that sense of community in a neighborhood really impacts the way that the city feel overall is. And there's been a heavy push for beautification from this council and mayor. And it's amazing to watch how neighborhoods are taking pride in themselves and in their neighbors and in just the overall feel of the city. And so I commend you guys for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
That's really all I had to say.
Ditto. It's a well-ran machine without me, by the way. So, great job.
I don't know about that.
Okay, thank you very much,
You're
Katie.
welcome.
And residents who joined us, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Pocatello Free Clinic. Hello, thank you.
Hello, thank you. We were able to get it on, didn't we? We were able to get everything on page, so, it's kind of our down and dirty cheat sheet.
Yeah, great.
But
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
Sherry Joseph,
Okay.
the Executive Director of the Pocatello Free Clinic, and this is Amy Azizi, Director of Program Development, and we'd love to share with you what we do for the city of Pocatello. So we are one of the oldest free clinics in the nation. I know I say that every time I'm here, but it's absolutely true. And it's because of the city of Pocatello that we feel like we are one of the oldest free clinics in the nation. There are a few that may be a little bit older, but they've had to close their doors at various times for lack of funding. And for 55 years this year, we have never had to do that. And it's also the people of Pocatello who keep us going. Little donations come in all the time saying thank you, and that helps keep the wheels on the bus. We changed our mission probably 3 or 4 years ago to also mention the training that we do with ISU students. So of course, serving the people with medical, dental, psychiatric, counseling, social services, and outreach are extremely important, but we also changed it to reflect the training that we do with ISU students. So ISU, as you know, is the medical college of Idaho, basically, besides ICOM. And all of the program students pretty much rotate through our facility and are trained there. Currently, I think since I've been there in 2019, probably over 100 students have gotten into dental school, medical school, social service, respiratory therapy, occupational therapy, nursing school. They train with us, they become well-versed in taking care of our population, and then go on to do great things, and they ask to come back as a provider. They want me to hire them all the time, so because they love what we do there. One of the things we've added within the last probably 3 years is both psychiatry and counseling. And I firmly believe that our patients would never have access to those services in their lifetime if it wasn't for us being able to provide them.
Idaho currently is 50th in the nation per capita for psychiatric services. And for medical services, I believe we're 48th. And I don't know if you've tried to get into a counselor lately. They're very full. A lot of them only take cash, even if you are insured. We offer counseling in English and in Spanish. And it's something that we feel is extremely important to our population. Psychiatry is provided by University of Utah residents. We do pay for that service to have them come for a full day and see our patients. We feel that's extremely important as well. As you can see, if we go down into the number chart there in the middle, what we've done in the past 7 years, I think, is remarkable. We are at full capacity now. I expect that green line to start to level out. Currently, it's 2 months to be a new patient to get in with a provider, and we have approximately 450 people on our dental wait list. Dental is something that we've really beefed up over the past several years. Dental services are very expensive. The equipment and the materials needed, and because our patients have such need, frequently cleaning visits are 3 times. Dental care, we can have 20 cavities, 27 cavities on a visit. So we go through a lot of equipment, cleaning teeth that have never been cleaned, and a lot of material needed to restore those teeth. We don't duplicate any services with anybody else in the area. We're the only free clinic between Rexburg, Twin Falls, and Salt Lake City. Idaho Falls does not have a free clinic. We do have people that come down from Bonneville County, but primarily we serve Bannock County and the city of Pocatello is where the majority of our patients are from. 50
I'd
seconds.
just like to
Yeah,
highlight
please.
an area that we've really grown and expanded in the last 3 years, especially is in our outreach program. Our medical director is really passionate about not staying in our silo and going out and seeing people where they are at in the community. So we've partnered with Aid for Friends, with Valley Mission, many different agencies, extended stays,
in town.
Moonlight Recovery, all sorts of different places that they are providing services, and we bring our services there and are able to provide testing on site, glucose checks, helping identify disease at earlier stages so that there is improved outcomes for individuals receiving care.
Yeah. I firmly believe we go to Aid for Friends. We provide services there at Aid for Friends. We partner with all the people that are in this room. But I firmly believe that we help keep the population stable. And especially with the psychiatric care that we have added on to our services. And most people tell us that if we weren't here, they don't know where they would go.
Okay.
And really trying to prevent unnecessary hospitalizations
Yes.
is one of our bottom lines.
Keep
as
people
well.
out of the emergency room. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open it up for questions.
Yes.
Councilman Nichols.
Yeah, I noticed on your handout here that your total visits doubled between 2022 and 2025. Could you explain that dynamic and what's happening, please?
We are really working to become a medical home. And so a patient with diabetes needs to be seen, every 3 months to have their A1C check. So as previous years, we weren't always able to offer that because we didn't have the level of providers and we weren't open as many hours. But now that we have steady providers and extended hours, we're able to see more patients throughout the day.
Also with more funding, more grant writing, a lot of grant writing since I've come on board, which also brings more work, but it also brings a level of funding that we didn't have in the past. And if you're able to hire a provider, even if it's 1 day a week and they work at a greatly reduced rate, you have continuity of care, which makes everybody healthier, basically.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
That was my
Councilman
fault.
Mangum.
Youth, do you see very many children or young adults, young people?
Don't see children. We felt, the board felt with our mission that most children could be insured through CHIP. And so they didn't see the need for that the way they saw the need for 18 and up.
But we do see a lot of young adults as well,
Okay.
18 to 26.
Okay, yes, Councilman Bates.
Can you kind of tell me how you differ from Health West?
Yeah, absolutely. So Health West it's called an FQHC, and they're a federally qualified health center. So they have direct federal dollars coming to them to provide their services. And they also compete with us for grants and other things as well, but they're very different that way in that they get direct federal dollars, which we do not. So they are primarily the recipient of patients who have Medicare and Medicaid. And so because the reimbursements on those are so low that if a private provider only took Medicare and Medicaid, he couldn't keep the wheels on the bus. And so they get federal dollars to help fund them so that they are able to take patients mostly with that type of insurance. We do not take any patients with that type, with any insurance. We did make an exception for dental patients that have dental Medicaid, because we found there wasn't a provider in the city of Pocatello besides Health West, which has a year wait list and they're closed basically, that will accept dental Medicaid. And so we found that there was a whole host of people out there that had no one to see them. So we do accept patients with that type of insurance. The board made an exception, but basically we are the gap. We are the people, we see the people that are in the gap that either can't qualify or that there is a gap. There's people that just make maybe a little bit too much, but they can't afford the premiums. And then we do have a social services coordinator that we pay to something that we've also been able to add on within the last several years. And she will take anybody in our care that she feels can qualify for Medicare or Medicaid and get them on there. Sometimes it's 3 times applying, sometimes it's going to the office itself, and then we send them over to Health West because they're the place for those people, and we're the place for those who have nothing.
I'd just like to add one other exception we've made as well is Health West recently had to double their sliding scale.
Co-pays.
Then their co-pays. And so for patients who are on low to moderate income, but receiving counseling services, what used to cost them $20 per session is now $40 per session at the lowest rate. And
it goes up from there.
It goes up from there. So to afford even that $40, 4 times a month is a hardship for many families. So
Prohibitive.
Yeah, in many of those cases, we will still see those patients to be able to make sure we're addressing the mental health needs in our community as best as we can.
Yeah, Councilman Mangum first, and then we'll go over this side.
So if you could please, this draws on the question that Councilman Nichols had asked. If you could talk about the impacts that some of the state cuts have had concerning Medicaid and some of the other healthcare expansion efforts. If you could talk on some of that and how that's triggered some of this increase, and then also what that has done to you via funding. Sorry, these retainers are jacking me up. And how that's impacted you also. And then, because you're asking for 20,000, and so how will that help to alleviate some of that pressure and some of those issues that the state has so graciously passed down?
Oh, there's so much to say in regards to those questions. I would say one of the first and foremost ways we've seen a direct impact is in our waiting time. It, in the past, has not been that a patient would call looking to get established care and they needed to wait 2 months. That has been with an increase in demand from patients who have either chosen to not get insurance because their premiums were raised by such a large percentage that they can't afford it, and so now they're looking for other options, or for those who have lost their Medicaid and so are now looking for care as well. So definitely in our wait times, in the ability to see patients for follow-up care, the provider will say, I'd like to see this patient in 6 weeks to check on this medication, and then we walk up to front desk and it's going to be 8 weeks until we need to see him. So trying to figure out what can we do in the meantime. Can we do a telehealth phone appointment if that's eligible? So it's caused a lot of us re-looking at our structure and organization to make sure that we're meeting patient needs within our limitations as well.
Can we send them home with a blood pressure cuff? We wrote a grant to get blood pressure cuffs that go home with patients, and so they can call in their blood pressure. The legislature didn't cut back Medicaid expansion yet. I'm sure it'll be on the list again for this year. But if that would happen, yeah.
So you had mentioned medications. How do medications get purchased, or How, because it's a free clinic, so how does that work?
Yeah, that's a very
Is there a
good
certain
question.
copay or how, yeah?
We don't have any copays, so everything that is provided to the patient is completely free, and that includes labs and pharmacy. I get a 77.5% discount from Treasure Valley Lab, and my lab bill last year was $70,000. And that's at that, 3/4 discount. So labs are significant. We try to order the minimum that we need and then get more next time if we do. We don't just order blindly when a patient comes in. But pharmacy specifically, we have a deal with Moggs Pharmacy here in Pocatello that they charge us cost plus $4. However, most patients are able to leave with their medication in hand. We pay $7,500 a year to a company called Dispensary of Hope, and we have access then to their formulary, whatever they have on hand throughout the year, as much as we need. It's expensive, but we can order weekly, we can order daily if they get something in that we haven't had before. So we do use Moggs as a backup. However, most patients leave with their medicines in hand. We also get free meds from companies like Direct Relief and AmeriCare that supplement our pharmacy. But our pharmacy, it's called a dispensary for us. It is robust and it's large, and if you'd ever like to come take a tour, we'd love to show you the clinic.
Well, and just last year, every year we get an end of summary for how much product that or how many prescriptions we ordered and what that estimated value is. And last year it was 600,000, which we paid 7,500 for.
Oh, okay, Councilwoman Swanson, then Councilman Bates.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, or Nichols after, yeah.
Is there a criteria for being a patient?
Yes, you have
So
to be.
I can't walk in there and get
No.
free care. Okay.
You have to be completely uninsured besides the dental thing that I just told you about. And we do make exceptions, like Amy said, when someone called and said, I can't afford my copays anymore, can you help me out? We feel like keeping somebody mentally stable is worth that investment, right? So completely uninsured, including Medicare, Medicaid, and then below 300% of the federal poverty level. We were at 200%. We raised it to 300% during COVID because so many of our people were unemployed during that time. However, I think 90%.
99% are under 200%.
Yeah, and about 90% are below 150% of federal poverty. So most are extremely low in the pay scale of things.
Yeah, so you're providing a great service to the Alice population.
Very
Yes,
much
you-
so.
Yep.
Yeah, 60% of our patients are employed, so.
660.
60.
And for the millions listening at home, Alice is asset limited, income constrained, and employed.
Yes.
Folks that live in our city. Thank you.
Yes.
Had no idea it was 60% of employed people.
Wow.
that
It's
you
very,
serve.
it's very high. And then we're also trying to get people back to work also. You know, if we can fix some things, people can go back to work.
Sure.
So people are working and unable to meet their basic needs.
I'd like to understand the magnitude of the problem. I mean, you have 5,000 visits last year,
Yes.
450 on a wait list. I mean, how big is the problem?
We could definitely, if I could hire another full-time provider to see patients 5 days a week, we could definitely do that. And dental, so what we do for dental, because dental is so expensive, we hire the ISU dental residents that they work at a wage well below what they would make in private practice. And they have full-time jobs, so they just come to us in the evening, because I can't afford to have a dentist there 5 days a week. So they come to us in the evening and run evening clinics 2 days a week and a Saturday once a month. So part of it is I don't have enough providers to meet the need because of the cost. And I try to be very conservative with the funds because as Mr. Magnum brought up, we don't know, I think last year $450,000 of our funding came through health and welfare for various different grants, a dental grant, a cardiovascular disease grant, an HIV grant, all these different pots of funding. And then they have been extremely nervous because of their funding situation with the legislature. So we just don't know, we can't count on anything, basically. And so we do have some reserve funding, and I try to be conservative and hold on to that in case something dramatically changes. And I've got to keep going, at least keep managing with what we have. And we try to add when we can, if we have a grant that will fund something. But you also don't want to overextend and then not be able to sustain.
Sure. So let's say money wasn't an object. And you,
Man.
yeah, and you have 5,000 people last year. I
Yes.
mean, could you service 10 or 20? I mean, I'm trying to figure out the well of demand underneath this.
Yes, definitely we could double.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
And would that make a dent?
Oh, yes.
It would make a dent.
Yes. And, the dental wait list. So the problem with using the residents, even though they're great, they're the only dentists that we've been able to talk into coming into the clinic, even though Delta Dental gave us a $100,000 grant to refurbish our dental suites, and they're beautiful. But the residents leave in June and they don't get going again until October. So we go through a period right now where we have no dentists. We still provide hygiene care, and I pay for a hygienist to come in. And we use the ISU dental hygiene students to provide an extra day of care through the school year. But again, they're gone in the summer. So the wait list builds up in the summer.
So a challenge is we're frequently restarting with our training process,
And our students.
with our onboarding, and with students. That's a logistical challenge that we work through.
But it keeps our costs low, so we feel like it's worth the investment. And it trains them to be awesome when they leave.
Thank
And
you.
to continue providing this care.
Yeah, sure. Got a question from Councilwoman Satterfield.
Yes.
Do you ever get dentists or physicians come in and volunteer their time and
Yes.
not a cost? Or is-
We have one dental advisor who volunteers his time, and then we have 9 dentists on our list that will take one patient a month to see for free. And then we currently have 2 physicians that, three physicians that volunteer, a PA, an NP, but they come in for half a day or once a month, just depending on what they're able to do. We actually just posted an ad that we're looking for a volunteer physician on Fridays. So, yes, we're always looking, because that also keeps costs way low.
For sure.
We have over 65 volunteers currently, so providing all different kinds of things.
That's great to hear, and we need more.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we've got another question. Okay,
Just
sorry.
briefly,
Yes.
looking through what you submitted to us, you received $65,000 from the Portneuf Health Trust.
Yes.
Is that direct funding, or is that your rent?
It's a reimbursement from our rent. So I pay them, they offered us a reduced rate in rent, but in order to meet their financial qualifications, I pay more, and then they give us a quarterly reimbursement. But I still pay $3,000 a month in rent at the end of the day.
Okay. And do they give you any other support other than rent? Okay.
No,
And-
the
and
hospital does.
The hospital, yeah, they give you 88,000?
It depends on the year and how behind they are, but it comes out to $75,000 a year.
Any idea how many ER visits you save them in a year?
I wish there was a way to estimate that, and maybe that's something we try to make a focal point on, is a way to capture that. It's difficult to capture that, but I mean, I would say we send maybe 3 patients a year to the ER. I mean, very, very rarely, and that's when somebody's really sick. Our physicians are very skilled at managing most things that walk through the door.
We also work closely with the hospital when they're releasing someone and they can't afford their medications. They will call us and let us know that they're sending someone to us and would request that we refill their medications for them.
So may I just make sure I understand that?
Yeah.
So your total net payment to the Portneuf Health Trust is $3,000 a month,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And what is the full payment?
I pay them, it goes up every year. It's almost $7,000 a month. and
$7,000
then
a month,
They
okay.
reimburse that
Part of
quarterly.
it. Okay, but you're still netting a payment of $3,000 a
Yes.
month. And then with the hospital,
Yes,
I would really encourage you to start keeping
yes, some kind of
track of that data and
Yeah.
making that argument.
Yes.
Because it's something that I know I would personally support adding some polite,
Yes, nudging.
polite meetings with the hospital too, because it seems to me like the free clinic is saving them a bundle and saving all of the taxpayers a bundle
Yes.
too, because we pay for the emergency care.
We stretch every dollar. If I could show you, if there was a way to show you, I mean, we try so hard. when we order, we make sure we check other sites to make sure we're getting the best price. We use all of our discounts that are available to us. We take donations from the community. Right now, we had an ad up that we're looking for a treadmill because we have a doctor who's willing to do cardiac testing in our clinic, and instead of purchasing the treadmill, I'm like, let's put it out there. So we think we have one that's going to be donated for free that he can use. I mean, and our clinic, our community responds. When we walked in the parade, the ISU parade, people were clapping for us as we were walking through. And I tell you what, that was extremely moving. I do, and the city stood up for us when Bannock County cut $10,000 from our funding last year. There were numerous letters to the editor, and along with Aid for Friends, complaining about how can you do this, basically. I think they get it, and they support us, and I really believe that it's because of Pocatello Strong is that why we're still here, and we've expanded so much. I mean, it was volunteer only in the evening, a couple hours a week at night. It was very, very small, and now we're open 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, with a provider every day. We also use the residents from ISU because we don't pay for them, and so they come in all day Tuesday to see patients, and that's something we can provide for free and give them training also. I do, and just so you know, I do meet with the CFO on a regular basis and ask for a lot of things. And I just saw him at
Idaho Gives.
Yes, and he's like, we need to meet again. And I'm like, yes, we do. So I have tried, believe me.
I'd add Portneuf Health Trust to that list.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Councilman Mangum, and then we probably need to move on to the
Okay.
next group.
You may have touched on this, but do you see clients from areas outside of the city of Pocatello?
Yes, we do.
And how do you track that?
We just ask them where they're from. I mean, basically like what Aid for Friends does. We have a,
Intake form.
and their address,
Okay.
because we send results by mail and contact them when we need to. So yes.
Obviously Pocatello, Chubbuck, do you
Yes.
see people from, say, like Fort Hall, people from
Not from Fort
American
Hall.
Falls, people from
Yes.
Malad, things like that?
Yes, it's about a 5-county reach, but primarily here. We don't turn anyone away because of where they live.
Right.
Fort Hall has their own,
Right.
and so we did reach out to them to see if there was anything we could do there, and we're not really needed there
Right.
because they have their own system.
So do any of these other counties help to fund or
So-
offer any assistance?
City of Chubbuck has funded and actually increased their funding this year. We were very excited about that. We have gone to the county commissioners in American Falls
Howard
twice.
County twice.
Yes, and were turned down twice. So that's the extent, and Bannock County, of course, is a
Yeah.
huge supporter, and has been for years. And that's the extent of government funding. We just started doing some outreach in Soda Springs. We're limited on where we can go and what we can do with time, and we have a complete mobile van that we take places. And we really have focused that outreach in the past year on the city of Pocatello and Chubbuck. But we have done some outreach in Soda Springs recently, and that was well received. And so you have to build a presence before you can go ask.
Okay, well, wish to thank both Sherry and Amy. Thank you for being here. Very insightful conversation. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for asking such great questions, because it really helps explain more about, it's hard to talk about it in 5 minutes. So thanks for the
Yes.
questions.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Okay, next we have the Pocatello Iwamazawa Sister City Foundation. Oh, there's a familiar face.
Okay. My husband's an IT guy, so I'm very not. So it's just gonna look like that.
You can hit start slideshow. I thought I did.
I'm Jody McHugh. I'm the chairman right now of the Pocatello Iwamizawa Sister City. And I'm gonna just start really quick with, thank you, Aubriana. Our mission statement is to promote peace through mutual respect, culture, understanding, and cooperation, one individual and one community at a time. And so I just want to kind of back up and start with what the Sister City program is. And it started 41 years ago when our mayor of Pocatello and the mayor of Iwamizawa came together and signed an agreement to foster long-term friendship and international relationships. Since then, every year, we select a delegation of 10 to 12 students. These students are aged 14 to 18. They go through a selection period of interviews and an application. We request teacher recommendations, personal recommendations, and really select the best of what we think can represent Pocatello. After they're selected, the delegations go through 6 months of culture and language preparation classes. Those are taught by our board members. Luckily, we're fortunate to have board members that are fluent in Japanese and have experienced a lot of Japan culture. In the summer, then they go visit Japan during their stay. They serve as ambassadors for our community, promoting that peace and friendship agreement while they gain a deeper understanding and appreciation of the Japanese culture and their traditions. And I just want to say that these kids go into this super excited, just looking forward to this opportunity they have. As it gets closer, you start to see such fear of the unknown, and they're staying with host families that they cannot communicate with and eating foods that they've probably never had. And as a mom that's had 2 kids go, absolutely terrified, some of them. And this experience, when they come back, they have grown so much. They come back with so much more self-assurance, so much more appreciation of not only what they have and the gratitude that, just so much more gratitude for what they have, but then appreciation for cultures and other traditions. Moving on, so it is an exchange program. So our Pocatello delegates go to Japan first, usually the end of June 1st of July. Then toward the end of July, 1st of August, the Japanese delegates come to Pocatello. These are just some of the things that we do with them to show them our community and how amazing Pocatello is. We visit Bear World. We spend a night or 2 in Yellowstone, take them to Lava Hot Springs. We have to explain to them that we keep our swimming suits on when we do hot baths. We visit as many museums as we can. We take a day or 2 to do all of our local things, such as actually they tour this building. They tour the fire station, the police station, ISU, downtown Pocatello. We're gonna have to put the visitor center on there. That's super cool. We take them horseback riding. We have a mayor's barbecue that we need to talk more about. And get a new picture for our slideshow also. And take them to a Pocatello Grays baseball game, which is always a highlight. They usually, as this picture shows, get to go out and meet the players and have balls signed, and it's really a fun night for them. This last slide is just a little bit about our expenses. We are 100% volunteers. We front a lot of our own expenses. We have to provide, of course, airfare for a chaperone, make sure we have a chaperone that goes with the kids that they feel safe with. Also, that chaperone does attend all the classes and is with them for those 6 months, really gets to know the kids and make sure they feel safe with them. We have some food, travel expenses, entry fees into parks, and another thing I want to hit on too is that the delegates, the students, fundraise 100% of their ticket. Their only cost is their airline ticket. Once they're in Japan, they stay with host families. The host families, of course, feed them, and then their city provides what we provide for the Japanese delegates as far as all their entry fees and tickets and things to what they get experience in Japan.
Okay,
Any
great.
questions?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll move into council questions now, if there are any. Okay.
I have.
Yes,
that one.
sure.
Yeah.
So tell me about the other funding sources that you talked about, the delegates raising their own plane fare. Are there other organizations that you've asked for help with this, with expenses for the visitors?
We actually haven't. We've talked about starting to visit Chubbuck, and we also missed the opportunity this year. But
We've
a
tried
lot
a
of it
few-
comes from volunteer.
A lot of volunteers. We've tried a few corporate, but they've not. The kids did get a donation this year to help cover their shirts that they wear. But that's, yeah.
Yeah, we try really hard to just get donations. For example, horseback riding, the people bringing the horses. A lot of times when we take them out for lunch, we usually a Mexican restaurant, and they'll donate, half. So we try to get donations out of the activities that we do with those businesses, but not a lot of funding.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we will hear from the Senior Activity Center.
Hello,
Hi, Tara.
I'm Tara Contreras, and I'm the director at the Senior Activity Center. Mayor Dahlquist and City Council members, on behalf of the Senior Activity Center members, Board of Directors, volunteers, staff, I thank you for your continued support of the Senior Activity Center. As good stewards of the building that we leased from you for $1, thank you. We're right in the middle of a $5,000 beautification project that also benefits Purse Park and Bonneville neighborhood, and we're big partners with them, and we wanted to do our part to have our building look better and more vibrant and on the outside to match all the stuff that's going on the inside. Our mission is to provide resources, activities, and social engagement for older adults in the Pocatello, Chubbuck, and Bannock County areas, and we connect seniors to vital services that empower them to maintain their independence, well-being, dignity, and participation in the community. We support seniors to stay safe, active, and healthy. At the core of what we do and what most people know about us is the lunch. But what we offer is more than just a meal. And I could go over all the numbers about how many meals we serve, but to really understand the impact is to understand the one person that it affects. I can tell you we serve 1,800 meals, qualifying meals, because currently we're actually serving Salvation Army. Their kitchen is down, and so a lot of their people are coming to us. So we aren't counting those numbers in our qualifying meals because they don't meet our criteria. So we're actually serving more, and we served 427 unduplicated qualifying individuals last month. So that's some numbers, but what I want to really share with you is the impact on the individual. A few months ago, we had a member come in. It was his first visit, and what happens with a lot of seniors, he reached retirement age, him and his wife passed away suddenly. And his kids noticed that he was losing weight, not going outside, not participating in community. Although he does have family, most of them living outside of the state, one daughter in American Falls, they all encouraged him to come to the senior center. Begrudgingly, he did. And he came, and one of the things we've really tried to do is lessen our nervous systems will react when we're in an uncommon place, and even as seniors going into a lunchroom by ourselves, we're sent back to 3rd grade when we're the new student. And so we really try to help facilitate people to meet people in the dining room, sit them with somebody, get them to know people. And we did that, and over a couple weeks, I noticed this individual taking pictures of his food. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a social media thing. He was doing it to show his kids that he was eating. And like, I'm sending you my lunch. Well, after a while, I started noticing him kind of like really cool pictures, and he's like, look what I'm eating, because he was so excited about his meals that he was having and the relationships he was building. Shortly, he quit coming, and we didn't know what happened. And we got a phone call a few weeks later, and he was just getting out of rehab because he'd had a stroke. And he called us, and he wanted us to let us know that, one, to tell us as administration, but then the members that he sits with, he was coming back, and that he was fighting and he was working hard through rehab to get back to the senior center. He had to regain his ability to drive. And what that tells me is that what if he hadn't come the few months earlier to visit with us and to meet us and gain relationships? What would have his fight been? What would he have worked for to get back to community and get back? And what also happened was the members that sit with him went to his home and visited him, and he embraced them and pulled them in, and he said, "What are you doing here? Like, why are you here?" Because, you know, they just have lunch together. That tells me the community that we're building reaches more than just our dining room. It reaches outside into the community at large. And that member now, his daughter will tell you that we have saved his life. He now comes in quite regularly, and he brings a gallon of milk because he wants to contribute milk to the program for whatever reason. We had volunteer appreciation a few weeks ago, and as each of the volunteers shared kind of their purpose and why they continue to volunteer and how long they volunteer, each one of them almost talked about that this is their other family, that this is their second home, and that without it, many of them would lack purpose and meaning and value. And we are just so grateful for that atmosphere that we've been able to build. And I just want each of you to understand what we're doing there is more than just a lunch. And we invite you to come and see that. And so that's
Great.
time.
Okay, thank you, Tara.
Yeah.
Can relate to that. It's their second family. My mom's a volunteer there, and she hurt her arm a few weeks ago, and her main fear was she was gonna get replaced by another volunteer over at the senior center, so I get that for sure.
I was going to use her, but I didn't want to, pull on.
No conflict of interest kind of thing.
But she is one of our volunteers of the year, is Bonnie Dahlquist. She's incredible.
Yeah, great. Okay, we'll open up
Yeah,
it
yeah.
up to questions.
I guess this
Yes.
isn't a question, but I'm so grateful for what you guys do. I had my grandpa's passed, but every time I went to go see him, I might cry. He would always talk about the senior center. It gave him purpose, connection, and it was his second home. And he would always talk about all the things that he would do there. And so I was so grateful because you get older and sometimes you're stuck in your home, and sometimes you don't have someone that comes in and takes care of you or whatever. And so this is and we have tons of older people that feel like there's no purpose for them anymore. And so if they can get there, if they can do those things, it matters. It makes a difference.
Yeah, yes.
So as I'm getting older, I'm looking forward to coming to the senior center.
You don't have to wait till then, though. You can come have lunch with us
True,
anytime.
that's true, that's true. Besides lunches and meals, what other activities do you guys provide?
Sure. We stopped printing our activity calendar because it's 4 pages long, and so it was just costing way too much. So we have a plethora of things. We have volunteer opportunities. It takes 10 to 15 volunteers just during the lunch service to make that happen, which means there's no way we could fund that if we didn't have our volunteers. But we have volunteer opportunities. We have a billiards room. I say pool room and people think swimming. Nope. A billiards room. We have two pool tables. We are looking for a third if anyone knows of one. We have line dancing, crocheting, fit and fall classes, multiple times a week. That's heavily used, and we have a lot of attendance at those. Mexican train, any type of game. One of the unique things about all of our activities is they're all self-ran. Like, we don't go in and say, we're gonna schedule underwater basket weaving. Like, we don't plan that. All of the seniors say, I wanna do this, and so they schedule a time, they become the facilitator, and they offer that class. They have one class that takes grocery sacks and makes mats for the homeless, sleeping mats. You name it. Like, we have a Mexican train, bridge, pinochle, lots of pinochle groups, mahjong. Yeah, ladies, what else do we have? We have so much. Creative writing, a book club. like all these things. I'm jealous because I'm there every day and they're getting to line dance and read books and write, and I'm like, I have to be in my office. So, and just the lunchtime itself, if you could understand what happens there, like Bonnie and some of our seniors will have a fall, or that are our volunteers, and not necessarily at our facility, but maybe outside. They are fighting to get back. Like, we have one that also blew out her shoulder, and so now we found another place for her, but she's like, I want to serve, I want to get back, I want to do. We're like, we want you to be careful, we want you to take care of yourself. But their desire and passion is just so incredible. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And we did just with outside, where we're making the beautification on the outside of the building, we put in 7, which we have plans for more along the other end of the building, 7 raised garden beds that are like 4 feet tall, so that the seniors can utilize that for either flowers, and they'll take care of them themselves. That won't be something that we do, that they'll raise vegetables and that'll help benefit the community. Or the squirrels, we're not sure how that'll work, but we do, they're all taking ownership of those planter boxes and using those.
The squirrels don't pay taxes, so.
I know.
Yeah, Councilman Paulson.
Besides the social aspect, I don't think you fully acknowledged how nutritious and filling the meals are. Like, I've gone multiple times and I haven't
Pretty
been
good
able
meals,
to
aren't
finish.
they?
And for people who truly need that, it is such a valuable service. So thank you.
We have worked really hard to create a meal that is visually appealing, nutritionally sustaining, but it needs to be a meal you want to come to. It starts with the meal, right? Like, initially, our member Vic that came, he came because his kids saw a need nutritionally. And then he stayed because that meal was so amazing, and he built relationships. So we really try hard to make. Hayden has come three times, two times. But Hayden can testify now, and he's brought his grandpa and an
Who was
aunt.
getting calls from a man that he met to be friends.
Oh,
So it's
wonderful.
actually very-
Wonderful. But they've come and seen the meal, and we really do try to have, and we stretch every dollar we have with the food bank and donations that come in, and, to make sure that we can provide a really good meal, but at the lowest cost possible.
Great. Okay, well, thank you, Tara. Thank you for doing such a great job over there. Really appreciate you.
Yes.
All right, next we have Sister Cities Foundation of Pocatello. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that other community name, but from Africa, I believe, is where that is. Do we have a representative from there? Looks like we don't. So we will move on to Southeastern Idaho Community Action Agency.
Come on. They saved us for last for a reason. Come on. To test if I could sit quietly, and as you could tell, I couldn't very much.
Yeah.
Those of you know me. Put this in. All right. My name is Joe Borich. I'm the CEO of SICA, and with me is Erica Farnes. She is our Director of Community Services that supervises our Meals on Wheels program. So we do many programs at SICA. We do all kinds of things with housing, but this ask is directly for Meals on Wheels, for our Meals on Wheels program. So we'll just go ahead and get started. But we deliver homebound, we deliver 4 days a week to hot meals to homebound seniors in Pocatello, Chubbuck, and Ingham. It's great to follow up after Tara, because we have now the biggest change that we have made in October. We partnered with the Senior Center, and it is awesome. We take that love and everything that she is doing there, and we're able to take it to homebound seniors. So I cannot tell you the positive reaction we've got from our homebound seniors. I mean, we've heard more about the food and the love. And, oh my gosh, did you guys? unbelievable. So we're trying to partner and take all that amazing stuff she's doing and take it to homebound seniors who can't leave their house. So we deliver 4 days a week. We do deliver frozen food, frozen meals for the weekends, for Fridays and Saturdays through the weekends. Obviously, we know that obviously it is about the meal and the love and all of those kind of things, but more importantly, it's also about loneliness. We know the population that we deal with are the ones who can't get out to the senior center, the ones who can't leave their home. So they are stuck, and we know that loneliness is a major, major, major issue with the elderly population. Just looking at numbers, we know that population, I don't have that exact number, but we know that population of 65 or older is doing nothing but growing, and is going to be one of the largest populations that we have at 65 or older. Right now in the United States, 35% of seniors live alone. Here in Idaho, 30% of all seniors live alone. There are a big handful of all of our clients can't leave their home. Our drivers, our Rosa Marina, who's our coordinator, that's the only person that they see all day long. All day long. She's the only person who pops by, the only person who, so is the meal, it is the love, but it's also just that connection of being able to see somebody and what that does. And she is able to spend time, and you should see the look on their face. And as we go, I invite any of you ever to come on a ride. If you haven't, any day, any spot, and you will light up yourself. I was in tears crying the first time I went because this population, they're just so excited to see somebody come to their door. So we provide those meals. Just to get to the costs alone, we looked at it with salaries, overhead, car, gas, everything. Door to door, it's about $15.50 to get a meal from door to door to the participants. Just the meal alone, because we know all the meal costs are up, and Tara talked about like how hard it is to get those meal costs. It's $9.50 a meal. Okay, and we know that with the economy, things potentially even go higher. Right now, we're being reimbursed $4.25 from the Area on Aging. So that leaves $5.25, and we're talking just meals, not overhead. $5.25 per meal that is not covered, that we have to find extra funding for. So that's not talking salaries, that's not talking gas, that is just food. Our numbers for last year in Pocatello, we served 118 clients. In the city of Chubbuck, we did 31. In Ingham, we did 4. So total for 2025, we did 153 clients for 13,880 meals. So majority of ours is right here, and we only do Pocatello, Chubbuck, and then 4 in Ingham, and that is it. Looking at the dollars, and I think the big thing that we did was looking at where your money is, where our taxpayers' dollars come. If we're coming here asking for money, that we know that we can tell you exactly where that money is. And we understand costs are going up, we understand insurance goes up, we understand everything is. That's why we don't want to ask for anything more. This is not a time and a place to ask for more. It's just continuing to ask for the support that you guys have given us. But right now, looking at it, just looking at those meals, we serve 13,521 meals to 118 clients. That leaves that 525 that is not covered. So that's 70,985.25 in the city of Pocatello that is not covered. And that's where the dollars that you would give us go. So you want to know right where it goes? It goes right to the mouths of our taxpaying citizens. And that's not to overhead, that's not to gas, that is to meals. That being said, the one thing I'm going to quickly just bring up, unlike a lot of Meals on Wheels federally that get a lot of direct federal funds, we get no federal funds. I am so proud of our Meals on Wheels program because I can literally say it is funded locally. Our people feed our people. We have the Area on Aging that gives us that reimbursement, but other than that, it is the city of Pocatello, the county, the city of Chubbuck, and obviously our United Way grant that fund this. And this is a zero-based budget. We do not have, at the end of the day, we want it to be zero. What we take in, we take right back out. So thank you for all of your support. And like I said, I go around all over the place nationally talking about how our Meals on Wheels program, with all the stuff federally, doesn't affect us because our people take care of our people.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions or comments. Yes.
Could you just talk a little bit more about how much more satisfied people are with the senior
Oh,
activity center
it's,
cooking
I'll
versus-
let Erica, like, the first day we made the change, we heard from people were just in awe. Like, I can't even tell you the difference. We had the look, we haven't had comments about our food since I've been there in 3 years until now. And that's probably the number one comment we get, and it's all due to us partnering with the senior center. It took us a while. It took us about a year in working with Tara and how are we going to make this work and to get all of this, because we were doing the stuff with Chartwells. It's taken us a long time, but what we have got there, we are so proud of what we get, and we're trying to give that all of that stuff that Tara and the senior center is doing. We're trying to take it right to their homes.
A comment that comes to mind from a participant was, "These are real vegetables." Or you didn't know what you were getting.
You might have got you might have got some week-old grapes and things like now it's like, oh my gosh, the vegetables look like vegetables. The food looks like food. So it's really great.
Councilman Mangum?
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah, exactly.
People aren't getting any younger, right?
Yep.
And except for me.
Correct.
But that number, it looks like it's increased a little. That 153 that you showed there.
Yeah.
What is the trend of increase that you're seeing year over year?
It's naturally, and we're getting at a spot, to be honest with you, Councilman, if we take what we can get. So if we have more funding, we'll serve more people. So we're at that. So right now we cut, because to make sure, I like to say in the past year, we doged ourselves. We cut all of the costs that we did. We went from somebody who was a supervisor who wasn't delivering meals to literally we're running it with one and a half delivery people that are one full-time, one part-time, with Erica overseeing them. And so we're at about 50 to 75 meals. It's 50 to 70 meals a day. And if we had more funding, we would serve more people, and we would turn that into a 2 full-time. At one point, we were up to, in the history of the program, we've been able to serve some of the biggest years has been up to 200 meals a day when we had 3 drivers. So it's naturally, we take the budget of what we can and we put it right out. So that's naturally going up as we go.
Okay.
And Councilwoman Swanson?
So how does a person become a Meals on Wheels subscriber? And if you have service that is lockstep with your budget, what do you do when, if you can feed 100 people, what happens to the 101st person that makes the request? So you can talk a little bit how clients come into your system and how you decide.
So we get referrals from AAA, Area Agency on Aging, and then they can also call us and we do an intake. We currently do not have a wait list. When we do have a wait list, they are offered through AAA the Home Style Direct, which is a frozen meal until they can get into us.
Okay.
And that's kind of how that works.
So they'll get the home side delivered to them, where they've got to get out and fix it themselves until we have that spot open. And then we'll turn them right into our Meals on Wheels, where we're actually coming to their home.
Okay. And could you talk a little bit about, if you have a obviously anonymous client in mind who has somehow, you talk about loneliness, prevention. If you've got eyes and ears out there, have there been any medical interventions or family interventions that have been initiated because of that visit?
Yeah, I'll speak, and then Eric can talk about this year. But I know 2 years ago we had 4 different clients that we were able to that needed to get medical service right away. 3 of the 4 we were able to get them help into the hospital. We did lose one, but if we didn't show up, they were not going to be found. And that's continually the trend that we see. So I don't know if there's been anybody this year, but I know 2 years there was 4 incidents themselves where we had to call people to get in.
And the delivery people are trained
Correct.
To look out for some of these signals
Correct.
and report appropriately?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
So, yes.
Well, impressive that you're able to fund all this locally. That's great.
It's awesome. It's so proud to leave here and talk about that, because a lot of it's federally and it's one of the proudest things I get to
Yeah,
say.
but why don't you go after federal funding? Is there a reason?
No, but we look for other grants and things like that. So we're looking for we're doing a lot of fundraising on our own. We also will take private pay. So say maybe have a homebound parent here and they live in Tennessee or out of state and they say, hey, I just want to make sure they get 1 or 2, maybe not 4 days a week, but I'll send a check. We'll pay for we'll pay for the meals. We'll get them out there. But I would like to keep this thing because of just the volatility, thank you. See, those retainers were right. Volatility of the federal. I'd rather keep those dollars here because we have had a really good support. Some years we've gotten donations in from our local corporate stuff, and we've got we do sponsorships on our cars and things like that. Like if you see a Meals on Wheels car around, where we've sold some sponsorship and stuff like that. It's just one of those things where we haven't needed it yet, where we want to keep things right here where we have a little bit more control on the funding that is coming in a sense.
All right, and then do you have any type of, for lack of a better word, an adoption program where an individual could come in and, adopt a client and pay for the meals for the year?
Yeah, no, we don't, but we know we have a lot of people, and one thing that we're working on is, one thing that we're trying to put in works over the next little bit is kind of a senior-based volunteer where they can come help deliver meals to other seniors and things like that. So we've copied, I know there's a Meals on Wheels program on the other side of the state that had kind of started that program, and I definitely want to look into it, see how we can do that, because I think we have a lot of seniors who go to the senior center and stuff like that who would love to go for a ride and help deliver a meal and have that connection and things like that. So that's one thing that I would definitely like to grow as we go.
Great, thank you.
Okay, yes.
That adoption program sounds kind of cool.
Huge,
actually.
I know it does, yeah.
What you guys are doing is great. And I'd love to see, do you know of stipulations that there would be in conjunction with federal funding, something that would limit you or restrict you to doing something in a specific way? Because it says, you had said that you didn't want to go after those federal funds. I like the fact that you remain local.
Yeah.
And, but I'd like to know.
Yeah. We're looking at it all the time. We're partner because we have the name. We are part of the Meals on Wheels America. That allows us to use the Meals on Wheels name and stuff like that. So there's opportunities within there. And each state is a little bit different because some of the state get the federal pass-through, the federal funds and like that, where we don't, in a sense. So we're continuing to look for different stipulations. We went a couple of years ago, we were just looking for any kind of funding whatsoever. And just the way things go, we found a modernization grant, and we found which was really great for a little while, but we found one that gave to pet food, which was great because we had a lot of seniors giving pet food. The problem was we needed to feed the seniors, and we have $5,000 for pet food, but we couldn't buy food with it. So those are the kind of things that I just want to be very careful that there are a lot of them go to overhead and modernization and things like that, but they're not going to food itself. That's where a lot of the hangups in some of the criteria is we want to make sure that we're putting those dollars right in people's mouths.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did Meals on Wheels receive any funding from the Light the World Giving Machine?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they were one of our 5 items. So we were part of the Giving Machine this year. So we put for $10, we had a meal for a senior. I can't remember our numbers. It was 2,300 meals, which will be huge. Yeah. Huge. Yes, they were one of the items this year, which was again locally funded. It's the same thing. Our people took care of our people. Yeah. So yeah, sure, it was one of them.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Joe,
You
Erica, everything you do. It's
Thank you.
Awesome program for the community.
Awesome. And for real, if any of you want to go, 4 days a week, you can go for like an hour or something. I highly recommend it. In fact, Mayor Dahlquist, we're gonna hog tie you if we need to have you go. So it'll be fun. We've done that before, but if you just wanted, because it's a population also it's not seen. They're not out, so you don't see them, and that's kind of was the most eye-opening thing to me is it's a population that's quiet that you don't see you don't see them, so you don't know it until you go out. So we appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right. Well, I want to thank all the members of our community organizations for being here. Thanks for persevering and sitting through although you didn't need to, I hope you found it interesting. As Rich Morgan said earlier, we're not going to make any decisions today on funding. But this is really good information, both the verbal and the paperwork that you've turned in. So thank you very much for everything you do. With that, we are adjourned.